go ahead and get started for the wonderful people that did join us. And the call really is just to get everyone familiar with kind of what the expectations are and what you can expect at the conference. I want everyone to know that the conference is going to be wonderful. I was really concerned with the location in St. Louis, and I'm happy to report that we have nearly 1,000 people pre-registered, which is outstanding, given the fact that we have no presence TCF in St. Louis at all. So it made for some challenges where normally we have some local support. We didn't have that this year, but we were able to work through it. We've got a wonderful conference committee that has really dug in and accomplished a lot. And it's also a little different this year than it's been in the past couple of years. As you remember, last year we were in that beautiful resort in Orlando, and the year before, the beautiful resort in Scottsdale. And while they were wonderful, they had some drawbacks, and some of those were in the survey complaints. The most common complaint for Orlando was that the workshop rooms were too small. And of course, you know, there's nothing you can do about making the rooms larger, but I can tell you that in St. Louis, I don't think we'll have that issue. And, you know, we have lots of capability to expand rooms, and we took advantage of that. The other thing, you know, again, even though it was really nice being in a resort, it was a disadvantage for many of our conference attendees in being able to go off-site and get something affordable to eat out at the conference. This year, for our attendees as well as for you, you're going to find that there are many things within walking distance to our hotel. Just a block or so away are all kinds of eating places. There's a movie theater. The Blues Museum is right across the street. And I hope that even though you're doing the hard work of presenting, that you'll be able to enjoy some of that as well. There's even a grocery store that's just a couple of blocks away. So we had a call last night with our first-time attendees, and we let them know that, and we were giving them some helpful hints. And one of them was, if you're from out of town and you flew in, you know, walk on over to the grocery and get some affordable water to help you through your stay there. So it was a good call with them last night. Again, we recorded that just as we are tonight. So that's being shared. One of the improvements that we made from last year, they're in an attempt to get more material introduced into the workshop, they had decreased the times from 75 minutes to 60 minutes per workshop. And again, going to our feedback on the surveys as not only the attendees, but also the workshop presenters, there were many people that really wanted 75 minutes. They felt that 60 minutes just wasn't enough for someone to present their material, to allow for questions or discussion afterwards, and then, of course, try to do an evaluation. So we did increase that back to 75 minutes this year, so you'll have a little more time. We also have 30 minutes between each workshop. So that means that people have time to get from one workshop to another. They may be on one level and have to go up a level. So the hotel itself it's compact in the fact that it's predominantly the workshops are on 2 floors, but they will still have to maneuver around that. And then even though the workshops, you know, we've gone 75 minutes, we've got that 30-minute passing period, if you will, please be kind to the workshop presenters that follow you. I know that often, you know, people rush up, they want to talk with you, they want to ask you a personal question, something they didn't want to ask in front of everyone else. And so sometimes I know that you're bombarded afterwards. But if you try to move that just outside the door or continue packing up, that will really be helpful to the next person that follows you as a workshop presenter, so that, as you know, you like to get in there and get things situated the way that you like them, get your notes where you want them, and start to feel comfortable in your workshop room. So please be kind. And the other thing that we encourage, as we always do, our first time attendees especially, is we said, you may read the description of the workshop and find that it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be. And so we encourage them, this is your conference. You, not only as a workshop presenter, but also as a participant, it's okay to get up, once it starts and you're like, this isn't exactly what I was hoping for. I wish I'd have gone to the other one. We have told them it is all right to get up and exit quietly and go to one that they think might be more relevant. So please don't be offended if someone leaves your workshop. It's nothing against you personally. There was lots of discussion around AB requirements, and so because of the expense, and I'll give you a little bit of background, because of the expense with the hotels for AV, we don't provide AV. Now, in the hotel contracts, it will sometimes even specify that if you plug something into the wall, they will charge you for that. We did get that excluded from the current contract. So if you have your own, let's say, computer or projector, and you want to use that and there's a plug-in in there, you can go ahead and do that. But don't ask the hotel staff for assistance. Don't ask the hotel, for example. We tried to take into consideration all of the different workshop styles that you wanted your room set up in. If we make a change on site from what was planned, that's a $300 charge. So that's not to say that you can't go ahead and maybe you want the chair spread out a little more or something like that. You certainly can do that. But don't be asking or requesting the hotel staff to do that, because maybe you didn't realize they're going to bill Compassionate Friends for that. Before I go any further, I just dove right into this, and I've got to apologize. I didn't introduce Kathy and Terry. Kathy is our online services director. She's also the conference chair this year, and I'm sure you've had spoken with her already through email or on the phone. So Kathy, why don't you say hello?
Hi, everybody. I am just really excited about the conference this year. We are thrilled, as Debbie said, that we have almost 1,000 people, and the workshops are going to be phenomenal. We have so many different varieties. We have a lot of new workshops. We have people there, the tried and true and popular ones coming back again, and just really excited about it. So hello, and I'm glad that you're on this call. I think it's a great idea that we have this, Debbie.
Okay, and we also have Terry Novi with us, and she's the director of chapter services. And Terry has, as Kathy does, a lot of experience in many different conference venues. So Terry, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on our call tonight. We are super excited about St. Louis, and we think we're going to blow your socks off with our conference. And if that doesn't work, there's that great barbecue place right down the street that will also be a treat for everybody. So we've got a lot of new things that we're offering this year. We have gone around the block on ways to communicate with our attendees, with our moderators, with our presenters, and we just feel that we're going to have a really successful event. And we're super excited that we've reached 1,000. So already goals have been met, and we just can't wait to get to St. Louis and see everyone.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a great conference. And as Terry indicated, we've tried a number of different ways to be able to communicate, not only in the past with everyone, but also going into the conference. This year, we're offering an app. Now, some of you may remember an app was offered in Arizona, but what we've done a little bit different is the way that we've rolled it out. We did kind of a soft opening, if you will, with our volunteer leadership through Facebook, and we asked them to give it a try, see what you think. And then we demonstrated it with our new attendees, and we'll demonstrate it on this call as well. What we are hoping, our primary objective this year, is that the bulk of the evaluations that are done for workshop presenters, and also this year we're going to have evaluations done for sharing group facilitators as well. And we're hoping that the majority of those evaluations are done on our app. And the app is available for, if you have an Android platform, you can get that from the Google Store, or if you have an Apple product, you can get that from the App Store. It's free. There's no charge for it, and you just can search for Compassionate Friends. And there is one other app, at least on the App Store, that says the Compassionate Friends. And that one is from a site in Australia. So you want to look for Compassionate Friends National Conference, and you'll notice it has the cardinal up in the upper left-hand side. But we'll get to that in a minute. Kathy, why don't you talk a little bit about, how we went through and how rooms might be set up and how those decisions were made.
Wow, we did it twice, and it's quite a spread out venue. We evaluated. Well, if you notice this year, we did ask our people who, when they register, to let us know if they're interested in going to that particular workshop, and that gave us part of a little bit of a hint of what maybe we could look for in the size room. So we looked for that, and of course, we don't know because it's not something that's written in stone. That's just kind of saying, well, I might want to try this one. And so, we went everywhere. We checked every single room out, and we feel like we've got some really big rooms, and some, a little smaller, but the majority of them are really very well sized. And we're very happy with it. We like the layout. And let's see what we actually have gone through now with the hotel regarding your setups for your rooms, and whether you have a schoolroom layout with the tables and the chairs, and whether you have the theater style, which is just the chairs. So we've really looked at every angle, I think, and we're hoping that we got it right for all of you, and we do our best. We do our best. We really try. There's a lot of diagrams made by Debbie, and placement of outlets, and we put a lot of work into it and a lot of thought, and we're just hoping that's just going to be great for you. We think it will be.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to mention was one of the things we have to be careful of with our room setup, just to kind of give you a heads up, like panels. We need tables in front for panels. So we try to put panels one following another, because even though we have that 30-minute period for people to pass from one workshop to another, it's not enough time to turn around a room. So keep that in mind. You may walk in and think, oh, there must have been a panel in here. Well, you know why. It probably was right before you and not enough time to turn that room around, but we felt that setup would still work.
Mhm.
So for the large rooms, if you have a big workshop, a lot of people anticipated. I think our largest workshop was Signs from Heaven. And so those rooms, we tried to ensure that there was a microphone in there. We can't do that for every room because of the costs. AV costs, just to give you an example, in Scottsdale, we're a little over $90,000. And then this year, we were able to get that down to just over 60,000, which is still a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's considerably less and a great savings, which allows us to do more for our membership. Terry, what would you like people to know about the setup? Maybe you can go through kind of the general flow, like where the marketplace is and things like that.
So our golden rule is when you're in the elevator, do not get off at the main floor, go to Concourse C. If you get off at the main floor, then you would take the escalator and you're going to miss a great opportunity. So stay in the elevator and go to Concourse C. And there you will find our auction, silent auction, and then also our marketplace. We have vendors this year who are selling various items, some jewelry, some personalized items, just an array of good resources and a good time to walk through it and shop it. Also, then around the corner is what we call our gathering place. And in the past, we've always called it parent hospitality or grandparent hospitality, but this is a true gathering place. It's right outside of the boutique as well as the auction and the marketplace. Soft furniture, bulletin boards so you can leave a note for somebody. And also, you can buy a cup of coffee and a quick breakfast sandwich in the morning when you arrive. And that is golden for our group because there's so many of us, and it cuts down on standing in the Starbucks line. There is a little cafe by registration, but this is set up for the conference attendees to make it easy and to get you going towards the conference. And it's simply you walk down the hallway and you don't really realize it, but you're actually walking underneath the street. And when you reach the end of the hallway, you take an escalator up, and that's where all the action starts. That's where our registration is. That's where our workshops are. And if you take another flight up, it's the Majestic Ballroom, which is going to be our opening, our closing, our luncheon, our Saturday night dinner, and also workshops. So basically, that is where you're going to spend the majority of your time, or on the landmark floor and the Majestic. Now we have a super plan for our Healing Haven. It's on a different level, and it's very secluded and very quiet. And we have 3 rooms that we're making available to have that kind of healing moment whenever you can get away and make an appointment. And then just another little twist, we put our siblings on the mezzanine floor, which is just above the main level. And there they have the whole floor. They have everything they possibly need. It's a protected area, and they got the run-of-the-mill there. So, so my tip to you is follow Concourse C. It's like follow the yellow brick road.
Yep. We've
That's
got signs all over the place too. I mean, if you think you're lost, we've got a sign here, a sign there, a sign everywhere. I think we even have them this year, if I'm not mistaken, inside the elevator. That's going to be right on the door. So
And
that also be some on a table outside the elevator telling you to go to the concourse.
yes, and we have directional signs that's
Directional signs.
by some of our board and some of our TCF family, and it's got a cute little name. Debbie, what's Tony's?
Tony's Runway.
Tony's Runway. Kathy, what's Chris and Nina's?
Nina and Chris's Highway to Hope.
So we've got some directional signs that will also help you maneuver, but we're going to have a lot of volunteers. And once you learn the floor plan, it's very, very easy.
It really
I think
does.
about it in my sleep. So, I mean,
Right.
Okay, well, thank you both. Before we get into demoing the app, I did want to go over just a few things that you received in a letter that was sent to you for your workshop presenter information. Now, I also want to let you know at the bottom of your screen, for those of you watching, you can press the Q&A button and a pop-up will come up and you can type in a question if you have a question. There's also where you can raise your hand if you have a question, and we can unmute you and we can actually hear you talk. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions, as we continue to go along this. So a couple of things that I want to draw your attention to in the workshop presenter information that you received. As I indicated before, the workshops this year are 75 minutes. So that's great news I know it was a struggle for me to get our workshop done in 60 minutes because we always want to have a little bit of opportunity at the end, if not throughout the presentation, for our attendees to ask questions. So please leave a little bit of time at the end, even if you have to kind of adjust and maybe cut out some material so that the attendees will have an opportunity to interact with each other and you as well. When you refer to the death of a child, we would like you to, instead of saying, when my child died, or we want you to be very inclusive, because with our mission statement, we support parents, grandparents, and siblings. So it's kind of you have to teach yourself that when you're saying, when you suffer the loss of a child, just continue with that. When you suffer the loss of a child, a grandchild, a sibling, or you can say brother or sister, because many people there are grandparents and their siblings. They may also be bereaved parents as well. So even though parents might be in the majority, we want to be as inclusive as possible. So make sure that you, when you say loss of a child or death of a child, that you include grandchild and siblings with that as well. Some of the prohibited activities, I wanted to draw your attention to that. Another common complaint against some workshops, and the reason why we didn't invite some people back, is because there were complaints on evaluations of a lot of self-promoting or trying to sell something or sell a book. That's prohibited. We really want our attendees to gain information. That's not to say that you can't mention that you've written a book, but don't go on and then say, and it's available on Amazon, or please buy my book, or if you buy my book, write a review. It's okay to say, when I wrote the book, some of the things that I took into consideration were, that would be okay, as long as you don't do that every other sentence. Now, for those of you that have authored a book, we are going to have an opportunity for you to sell those. Used to the bookstore got an entire room, but we decided we wanted to try something a little different. So the bookstore is still going to be there, but on a much smaller scale, and then we're going to have other things offered as well. So because of that, if you've contacted them, they may have told you that Compassionate Friends is doing something a little bit different and maybe they can't sell the book for you. So to mitigate that, what we did is on Saturday, as you may have noticed in the schedule, it's lunch on your own. So during that period, that lunchtime when nobody's at a workshop, there's nothing going on in the conference, we want to have our author table set up in the hallway next to the gathering place. So it's going to be a great location. and you're welcome to sell your books. We're not responsible for accepting payment or doing anything like that. That's all entirely up to you. But we will have those tables set up so that if you want to have a book signing or something like that, you can do that. And when we get into the app, we'll explain how we can send out some notifications to people that are attending the conference to let them know, hey, don't forget, the author's book signing is coming up at whatever time and the location. Conducting a survey or gathering information for any type of project or research is strictly prohibited. We don't want this to be used for the basis of any research or a part of any research. You're here, thankfully, and thank you so much for doing this, but you're here to impart your experience and your knowledge. And then, of course, don't use your workshop as a platform for any legislation, any personal agendas, anything political. We want to avoid those things in our workshops. It may seem that everyone you think believes the same way that you do, but in fact, it may not be the case. So Kathy or Terry, anything else that you would like to include for them to know? Terry?
I think it's important because we have our members, they will sponsor a workshop. So it's important whenever you start your workshop to mention the sponsorship for the workshop, because a lot of times friends will sponsor like one of my workshops or something like that. So I love to talk about, their child, their daughter, their son. So that's a very important thing to remember. And the signs are right outside the room. So, Gary and Susan Kahn have sponsored many of mine, and I talk about Rachel. So please include that when you begin your workshop.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. I overlooked that, and it's so important. I've even seen some people, just briefly bring the sign in and hold it up and thank, even if the person's not there, thanking that person for sponsoring the workshop and just remembering them, saying their name, and then having the monitor put it back out in the hallway. So yes, thank you, Terry, for that reminder.
That means, okay, go ahead, Terry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you could have someone take a picture, because we asked everyone to send the pictures they've taken over the weekend, and it would be a great picture to put on our website of some of our sponsorships.
Yes, for sure.
Another way to say thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a lot of us know so well, that picture and that name and that sign, I mean, they were so happy to do that sponsorship and be able to, even like Debbie said, even if they're not at the conference, it meant a lot to them to have that picture of their child at that conference with everybody else. The one thing I was going to mention, and I know that Debbie was, so I will just briefly say something. I just wanted to mention that the importance of handouts, and Debbie will talk about that on the app. They have a really great, cool way that you're able to do that now without having to drag all your handouts with and the expense of printing them out. And I just want to say that in so many of the evaluation, that is the one thing that I consistently heard from the workshop, or from the attendees of the workshops, that meant a lot to them to have something that they're taking home or getting, through the app, to remind them of some of the things that they learned in your workshop and the information that you gave them. So so now we have a great way through the app, and when Debbie shows you, she can show you that, but it means a lot to them to have that take home in their mind too, not just to build me a piece of paper, but so that they can look at later on after they've left the conference.
And we did get a reminder from Marie. She input some information to Disney, and we have to submit to Disney some of what our volunteers are doing. So we have some we use volunteermatch.org, and we have some professional photographers coming a couple of days, but they won't be there from the very start to the very end. So don't hesitate to snap some pictures, especially when you catch someone in the act of doing something and volunteering, so that we have an opportunity for our next conference to get some Disney tickets for our membership. So an added bonus there. Thank you, Marie, for the reminder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my phone, because I want to demo the app for you. And it will come up here in just a moment. Let me get it open. And okay, Terry and Kathy, tell me, can you see all right?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is the app that I'm showing here on the screen right now. We tried to keep it very simple. We have 9 circle buttons on the home screen, and all you have to do, once you've downloaded this from the App Store or the Google Store, is just...
Whoops, Diva, we lost you. We lost the app.
Oh,
I still see it.
okay.
Yep, it's still there.
Oh, okay. My screen went to my work.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. So all you have to do is click on one of the buttons. Like if you want to look at the schedule, you can see on the screen now at the first big white block, it says Thursday the 26th. And then it has all kinds of things listed there. And this is available for download right now. So it makes it nice to have it ahead of time rather than waiting for your bag to get your book. So we know that in looking at the schedule that the conference check-in and on-site registration will be open Thursday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then we can just arrow down and we can see other things that are offered on Thursday. If I wanted to go to Friday, I just slide it over, and then you can see the offerings that are here. Like it will tell you we have some early runners. We have the conference check-in and on-site registration, the annual meeting, first-timers orientation. So you can just scan down and, you think, okay, what's going on right now? And then when you get to workshop session 1, it won't list the individual workshops there, but if you go back in the app, you'll notice that the second button down on the left, it says workshops. And if you click that, then you have all of the workshops offered. The first listing, again, looking at the big white block, is Friday the 27th. And it tells you the title of the workshop and the time. Let's say that you wanted to know more about that, though. Let's say you wanted to know more about when caregiving comes to an end for a special needs child. All you have to do is tap that, and you'll be able to then read the description. Now, this is where it's important for you to know. When your workshop participants, you're at the end of your workshop, you've had your Q&A, and then you have a few minutes left, and you're going to remind everyone, please take out your phones and complete the survey. Or if they don't have a phone, then you can hand them, or your monitor will hand them a paper evaluation. But at the bottom, you'll see it's listed support material. And if I click on that, then the evaluation comes up. So the first question is, the content was helpful for my situation as a bereaved parent, grandparent, or sibling. And then they checked anywhere from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And you have to pick something. The second question, and I just want you to know what the questions are, is the content was as described in the conference booklet. So did the evaluation really or the description really describe what was presented. Then the next question is, I would recommend this workshop to a friend. That's going to be important for us to do our analysis for workshop presenters next year. And then I would be interested in attending a follow-up workshop on the same subject. Do we need to have more? Maybe we need to have an advanced topic. And then the next question is, your opportunity, you had an opportunity to participate if desired. Because what we don't want is just someone like a college class lecturing for 75 minutes. We want there to be some interaction. We want the workshop presenters to engage the attendees, to say, does anyone have any questions? Has anyone felt similarly to how I described? And then we want to know their opinion of your knowledge of the subject. And then another question, the presentation was easy to follow. Some of the survey results are interesting to read. I've read comments that said the presenter was all over the map, where, there wasn't necessarily logic. And then we have the presenter spoke clearly. And then, were you informed on how to obtain handouts? So this is important, so that you are going to have to, if you've got to lead people to your handouts. So maybe you have paper handouts, maybe you don't. You don't have to have paper handouts. But were you informed as a participant on how to obtain those handouts? And I'm gonna show you where you'll find those. And then, did the presenter try to sell anything? Remember, this is one of those prohibited transactions. You can't sell anything in your workshop. You can talk about your experience, but you're not going to sell. You can say, I'll be at the book signing, at lunchtime on Saturday. And then they have an opportunity to give any additional comments that they would like. So that's it for the evaluation. Now, the handouts. This is really important. As a presenter myself, the handouts have gotten more and more expensive for me to make copies. And if your workshop is one that you have 60 or 70 people attending, and you're making especially color copies, even if you're copying front and back, even if you're copying 3 slides to a page, it still gets pretty expensive. So what we've tried to do, and then you never really know, do you, how many to bring? And inevitably, the first ones there get the handouts, and then the presenter runs out and you don't get any. So if you look at your app, you'll notice on the upper left-hand side are 3 lines. Just as in any app, that indicates there's a menu item there. So when you click that menu item opens, and you can see it's listed very similarly to the buttons. So you've got home, workshops, schedule, sharing sessions, notes. I'll go into that in a little bit. But notice almost 3/4 of the way down, it says handouts. So if you click that button, you'll notice that they are organized. We haven't uploaded anything yet. They are organized by workshop number. So let's say Marie was teaching workshop number 2, and the person's able to take a look at that from their app or from the conference book. They can simply click on workshop 2, and then they would find, once we get loaded information in here, they would find Marie's handouts. We're able to upload those ourselves. You don't have to do that. All that we ask is that you email us a PDF for us to upload it for you. And give us a little bit of time. Be kind. If you've got them ready, go ahead and send them. Now, of course, there's going to be people that, I don't have a smartphone. I don't want one. I don't want bothered with it. and you don't want to print handouts, it's too expensive. Or if you print handouts, then everybody wants a handout. So what do you do? So what you can do, what we decided a good workaround for that would be, is that you have a sheet that will be passed around, and it will be in the monitor's packet for anyone that does not have access to the app to be able to get the handouts, that you collect their email address and then email them the information after the conference. So that way you can still, we're not saying you can't print handouts. Of course you can. But we want this available, and I don't know what the adoption rate of this will be in the first year because people are accustomed to getting our paper. So I don't know. I don't know whether to expect half or, less. But it is an option for you so that you can have a workaround. For my own workshops that I'm teaching, I'm not going to do paper. I'm doing this, and I'm going to direct people on how to get to the handouts. So when you get an opportunity, download the app so you can play with it a little bit. I also want to point out a couple other things on this app, and I won't go into length. I really want to focus on what you need to know as a workshop presenter. But there is the left-hand side, third button down, it says social media feed. And if you click on that, the feed that you see is actually from the cute little kids, is from the Compassionate Friends site. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can send a message to any attendee that's there at the conference. You can also, if you want to send a message to everyone, you just click in this where it says type your post here. You click with your thumb and you type whatever you want. And then you can click the all button. You can send a picture. You can publish your post. It can be only internal. Remember I said we were going to do push notifications? We can send out, you'll notice the button on the far right, alerts. We can send out alerts. Don't forget, you want to make sure that you visit the silent auction. You'll find it in the Gateway Plaza. We can push those alerts out. If someone has lost a phone, we can push that out. Missing iPhone, please bring to the volunteer desk. So all kinds of alerts, we can schedule those as well. So we don't have to be sitting at a computer and saying, okay, what should we send out now? Or we get so busy we don't get any notifications sent out. So it's got some nice features to it. Mm-hmm. Terry and Kathy, anything that you would like me to show them on the app? Any particular feature that you're fond of?
I think that the workshops and the sharing sessions pretty much explain themselves in that, they can thumb through it and they can find if they want to go to an early morning sharing session or if they want to go to something later on in the evening. It's right there, and it's all for convenience.
Absolutely.
I just think it's great having the app, period, because, the book is wonderful, but, it's all here, all here for you to just click it. And, it's got a map on there too that'll help you get around the conference site. There's just about everything you need right here in this phone. And I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, so again, our primary objective this year with the app for as far as adoption is to get workshop presenters and sharing session presenters to have them, their evaluations done electronically. It's been a very labor-intensive process to go through all of the paper evaluations. If you can imagine over 100 workshops and all of the people that attend those workshops that complete an evaluation, that's a lot of paper to go through. And so we haven't been able to really do the robust evaluation or analysis that we could with something like this, where all of this will roll up into a spreadsheet so that, you know, we have a formula that we're using so that we don't want to introduce all new workshops. We want to bring back the favorites, but also continue to introduce some new workshops. So in determining, okay, what workshops do we have again the subsequent year? You know, this is going to help us make an objective decision about those.
Sure.
So I like it. I don't expect everybody to like it. I don't expect everybody to use it, but I hope we have a first good year with it. The developer that worked with us has been very accommodating to any of our needs and changes. So it's been great to work with them. And then, of course, you know, we've got TCF SIBs. They've got their separate workshops. And again, it tells you, you know, about the workshop and to provide feedback on the workshop itself. Okay.
I just wanted to say something, Debbie. I don't know if this is still the plan, but while we're still on the app, we're actually having something like this with the workshop monitors and the sharing session facilities.
Yes, we are.
And I think is that something that the monitors are going to have something to do with in the workshop, that they're going to help show how to do this app? So that will be helpful also.
That's a good question. Tomorrow night, we have a similar session like this, but it will be with sharing session and workshop monitors, because we want them to be familiar with this app as well. We don't expect you to be an expert at it. And, you know, people are going to play with it. Some people are going to have questions. All of the staff has received a demo on the app from the developer. And we do have a question that says, are we going to have a tutorial at the conference? You know, that's a pretty good idea. I'm trying to think where we're going to fit that in our schedule, but, you know, that's not a bad idea. And you could grab any of us, you know, if you want, you know, I listened to this, I listened to the recording again, but I'm not quite getting it. And we'll also send out, I think it would be helpful to send out in an email blast to all of our workshop presenters and our sharing session facilitators, kind of step-by-step instructions for handouts and for the evaluation, so that in the monitors material they have, at least they would have some instructions that they could say, okay, take out your phone, and then the next step they could just be reading. The next step is if you hit those 3 bars at the top, you'll notice a menu opens. Go 3/4 of the way down, and they can walk people through very quickly like that. We don't want it to take any precious time from your workshop. So don't get overly nervous about this. You know, we don't expect this to have a really high adoption rate. It's really the first year of a true rollout and introduction of an app. We had an app at a conference previously, but we didn't have a phased rollout. So I don't think it really had a fair opportunity. So anyway, but we'll get information out to you by email, and the monitors will have the information as well. Terry and Kathy, anything that you would like to add that we need to, or any questions anyone has, please feel free to type in.
I wanted to mention, Debbie, that we're also having an evaluation for our sharing sessions, which is something that hasn't been paid a lot of attention to in the past.
Yeah.
So we want to know how our sharing sessions moderators are actually doing. And we hear stories sometimes that, well, our sharing session lasted until 11:30. No, you know,
Yeah.
That's not what we want to hear. So it's important for us to grab a hold of this information and make the best decisions for our future conferences. So we're really ticking all the squares and trying to do everything we can for our future successes.
Okay, great. Kathy, anything you wanted to add?
Oh, the one thing I wanted to add is I just think I want to thank all these people that every year, and the new ones too, that are taking the chance to give a workshop, because they have something to give. They have experience they'd like to share, coping skills, ways they found hope and healing, and for your willingness to take this time, and some of you to come from all over the country to St. Louis. These are not just people that are right around the block. These are people from coast to coast. And to, give all of that and your time to putting together a workshop and then giving it and coming out to the conference, none of us can thank you enough. You're so, so important to our conference every year. It's one, there's a lot of things, but I think the workshops are just one of the really spectacular things that we offer, because that's what we're looking for. That's when people are coming. They're looking for more information, and how can I help myself with this, and so thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Really,
yeah.
So appreciated and so necessary for us to be able to offer hope to our attendees, because we wait for them to have a wonderful weekend experience, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for your contribution. It's unbelievably important.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you both for saying that, and we really can't say it enough. So that no one need walk alone. This is why we all do this. There is hope and help and healing and helping others. And as we talked to the newcomers last night, we told them, don't be too hard on yourselves. I explained that my husband just likes to sit and watch people. That was, that in and of itself was enough. So we really appreciate you really giving of yourself so freely for others, so that they don't need to walk alone. And last call for any questions. I don't see any coming in. So if you need to reach us, probably the best way is by email. And of course, you'll see us at the conference. Prior to the conference, my email is Debbie, DEBBIE, at compassionatefriends.org. And then we have Kathy, CATHY, at compassionatefriends.org. And then we have Terry, TERRY, at compassionatefriends.org. So, if you get a little nervous about the app, or you're wondering about, where am I going to be located, or I thought, this was going to happen, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll work with you so that we can make this successful for our attendees as well as you as a presenter. So thank you so much for taking precious time this evening to join with us. Okay, how many presenters on the call? Lots of info. Great idea. I didn't get a final count, but we're going to send the link out also to all the presenters because it is recorded. So even if they didn't get to join us, we're going to let them know that they'll be able to watch this after this webinar. So thanks again, everyone, and I can't wait to see you just around the corner. I can't believe it.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll know who we are. We're the people running around like crazy going,
in St. Louis. So
St. Louis.
Okay. All right. Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.